The Street Report podcast is being brought to you by, produced by, engineered by Sia Multimedia, a digital production company specializing in podcasts like this, social media strategies, and online social media commercials for your business. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Sia Multimedia, or visit our website at siamultimedia.com. That's CYA Multimedia.com. Sia Multimedia, making sure all eyes are on you.
You gonna learn today.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Are you ready?
This ain't the radio.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
The Street Report podcast.
He raps for the DMV to the fullest.
Hosted by Easy.
Mr. President.
It is great to talk to you.
Raw and uncut.
I'll let your boys, it's Jay-Z.
DJ Khaled.
What up, though? It's your boy, Big Snoop, D-O-double-G. Rocking out with my nephew, Easy Street.
Easy Street.
The Street Report podcast, hosted by Easy.
The Street Report is a podcast that primarily focuses on African American culture and a whole lot more. Make sure you subscribe to The Street Report wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it be on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher. Please hit that button and subscribe. I'll be dropping a brand new podcast every week. You might want to turn on your notifications. Also follow at Easy Street on Twitter and Instagram. The official website for The Street Report is easystreetshow.com. Hey, Sister Soldier.
Peace. How you doing?
Good to see you, sis.
Thank you.
Here in D.C.
Yes, sir.
Now, you're not, of course, a stranger to this city.
No, I'm not. I've been here many times. First time I came here, I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm a New Yorker.
Right?
Right.
We could tell by the New York accent.
Yes, my mom's a New Yorker, and my grandmother's a New Yorker, and my great-grandmother is a New Yorker.
Okay. Now, I was on, I don't know how credible Wikipedia is, pulling up your bio, and you, House of Representatives, were you on Capitol Hill at one moment doing some stuff?
Yes, I came down when I was 14 for a program that orientated young people who were interested in getting involved in politics as to how the House of Representatives runs, how the Congress runs. And I came back when I was 16 as an intern at the House of Representatives for the New Jersey representative at the time. So, yeah, I lived in D.C. I actually chilled with the Howard University students, which was pretty interesting because I was 16 and they were like 18 to 21. So That was a lot of fun, you know. I enjoyed it.
And look at you now, writing books. And, of course, we know you're a political activist. And
yeah,
that's
I started young. I always felt like there were a lot of problems that needed fixing. And I knew that in order to be a problem solver, I had to have information and training and experience. And so as soon as I became a teenager, I got involved in community activism and politics and deeply involved in my studies.
Okay, we'll talk about all that other stuff after we talk about the book
that
I have in my hand that the whole world is talking about. Congratulations. Of course, you're a national best-selling author.
I'm a New York Times best-selling author 3 times in a row.
Wow. How does that feel?
Well, it's good. I mean, The Coldest Winter Ever is actually the only novel I've ever written that wasn't a New York Times bestseller, but it sold millions of copies. So what happened with The Coldest Winter Ever is it came out, and over a long period of time, it just continuously sold very, very well. So when Midnight a Gangsta Love Story came out, it went straight to the New York Times bestsellers list, and then Midnight in the Meaning of Love came out, and that went straight to the New York Times bestsellers list. And then now this new one, A Deeper Love Inside, came out, and it debuted at number 7 on the New York Times bestsellers list. So it's just good to be part of the top 10, you know.
So everyone's out there now, all over Amazon and all over all these other places, Borders and all that, getting this book. And I like to know, before we even start talking about A Deeper Love Inside, who is Porsche Santiago?
Porsche Santiago is the sister of the main character from The Coldest Winter Ever, whose name is Winter Santiago. And everybody in the country knows Winter Santiago because she is quite a character. So her younger sister, who wasn't a big character in The Coldest Winter Ever, comes out and tells her story, which deals with the aftermath of the fall of the Santiago Empire.
Mm-hmm. For individuals that haven't read either of these books, talk about The Coldest Winter Ever. And we don't want to we want people to read it. And obvious that people are still buying the book, but just give us a little bit of background about what that book was about.
The Coldest Winter Ever is a story told by the daughter of a drug entrepreneur, a man who runs an empire in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. And it's a unique story because it tells a story in a way that we're accustomed to with Scarface or Goodfellas or The Godfather. But it tells a story from a female's perspective, from the daughter of the kingpin's perspective. And so it has a lot of different elements in it that you wouldn't normally get from a story if you were hearing it from a man's perspective or from the dealer's perspective. So it's a coming-of-age story, and it chronicles the decline, the takedown of a major drug empire in Brooklyn, and how this young girl who feels like she's on top of the world because her papa's on top of the world deals with maintaining her number one position in the hood while things are falling apart.
Mm-hmm. Now, is any of that story true at all, or is this something that you just came up with?
This story is from my imagination, but it's interesting you say, is it true? We know that there was a huge drug era in the 80s and the 90s, a crack epidemic. And we know that many of our sons and fathers and uncles and brothers were incarcerated as a result of that epidemic. And we also know that our neighborhoods across the country were very much crack addicted, and that the economies in the neighborhoods across the country were very much held together by the money that was generated by drugs. So in that sense, I have to say that it's true because these things did happen in real life. But as far as Winter, the character, and this particular family, no, it's not true. But the circumstances are real to our people across the nation.
Mm-hmm. You think the fact that the main character you're talking about, Winter, her being a female, is what kind of attracted sisters and other females to want to grab a hold to the book, The Coldest Winter Ever? Did you think that was part of it?
I'd like to think the authenticity of the book is what made The Coldest Winter Ever big, and that is a challenge to a storyteller. When you're a storyteller, you're trying to capture the exact voice of the characters and the conditions and circumstances that you're writing about. And in order to do that, you have to separate yourself from yourself as the writer, as the real person. So when I'm talking as Winter Santiago, I'm not putting any soldier opinions in that. These are Winter's words. I'm bringing alive this character and this voice. So I think the reason why people love The Coldest Winter Ever is because more than anything, Winter Santiago feels and sounds 100% authentic. And her father and many of the supporting characters also feel very authentic to people. And most people, no matter whether they're in a hood in Texas or whether they're in Cali or New York, whether they're in DC or Atlanta, they say, hey, yo, I know somebody like that,
right.
You know, or my pops is like that, or this situation reminds me of such and such and such. So I think people just are in love with the authenticity of The Coldest Winter Ever.
We're in the studio with author and incredible activist, Sister Soldier. She has a brand new book in stores right now, also online. I'm encouraging everyone to get it. It's called A Deeper Love Inside, the Porsche Santiago story. It is a national, a New York Times bestseller. And I would like to ask you this in regards to the whole writing aspect. How did you learn how to develop characters?
Writing is something I've done since I was really young. My mother used to tell me that I had a strong tone of voice and I better watch my tone of voice. And so I got used to writing things down, especially in a series of letters to my mother where, if I had a complaint or an observation, instead of getting into a situation where I would be viewed as being disrespectful or speaking out of turn, I would just write down what I felt, what I saw, or what I thought. And so I started writing at a really young age, maybe 8, 9 years old. And I continued writing in the school newspapers, in junior high school, in high school, and then in college. I graduated from Rutgers University. So I think that writing has always been a part of my life. And I love the way you can put words on a page and people can deal with it much better than they can if you tell it to them directly. A lot of people are intimidated by a voice or offended by a voice, or they shut down their listening skills when somebody is talking or teaching. But with a book, it's a very personal, emotional experience. Somebody can buy the book in digital format or in the hardcover and sit in the privacy of their room, and they can really just get into every single word, and those things that make them feel certain things, they get to explore those feelings without judgment or without anybody knowing what they're feeling and thinking. So I think books are powerful.
Yes, they are, and the pen has definitely been your friend. The whole storytelling ability that you have, very powerful. Where do you think that came from?
Well, African people have the strongest tradition of storytelling. We come from a very oral tradition. I was with a friend that I had from the Sudan just the other day, and she was telling me that they had this situation where at graduation they burned some books. And I said, oh my God, why would you burn some books? That's terrible. And she said, we come from an oral tradition, and most of the books that we've burned, we've actually already memorized them. And so African people in all of the various countries that make up the continent of Africa, we come from thousands and thousands of years of long memory, great storytelling. And I think that, it's in the DNA.
Okay, so would you consider yourself, since we're going to go there with it, would you consider yourself a griot?
Well, I always put it in a spiritual context because of my beliefs. I believe that the Most High gives everyone a gift and gives everyone an assignment. Some people, of course, get more than one gift.
You got to call in.
And more than one assignment.
Right.
But I consider storytelling to be my gift and my assignment. And so I'm just doing my assignment by using my gift.
That's beautiful. Easy Street alongside Sister Soldier. Deeper Love Inside. Her book is on the shelves right now. I'm telling you, Sister Soldier is an incredible person, a great writer. And if you haven't read any of her books yet, shame on you. Wherever books are being sold, I need you to go get a copy of Deeper Love Inside, okay? We know that The Coldest Winter is...
it's the classic.
It's the classic?
That's right.
Why do you call it that?
Because it's read by all of the prisoners in the United States prisons and all of the youth in the juvenile detention centers, and then all of the people in college and all of the people in high school and junior high school. It's on the approved reading list for many high schools and universities. It's assigned by professors. So I think anytime somebody can write a book that goes from the root, meaning from the heart of the people, through the school system, the public school system, through the prison system, into the university system, that would make it a classic.
Did you ever think that you would be writing classic material when you first started out?
No, I didn't really think of it that way. I just knew, I was writing chapter by chapter and reading chapters to friends and to my husband, and everybody would always be excited about it. So I thought maybe I was onto something.
on to your calling.
Perhaps.
Definitely. Without giving, because I'm a firm believer, when I do these interviews, I don't want to give too much of the book away. We want people to go to Border Books or go online at Amazon.
Barnes and Noble.
Yes, and buy the book and really get a real firm grip of the story that you're trying to tell. But just give us a little bit of insight in regards to what this book is about.
Porsche Santiago is a unique, rough, raw, beautiful ride. I mean, that's how I would describe it. Clearly, she's a beautiful looking young lady. But more than that, she has a beautiful heart and she has a beautiful soul. But her soul is filled with fire because of her circumstances. So the story opens up. She's in juvenile detention and she's, as she would say, real red about it. She's real hot about it. But when she says, she doesn't say angry or mad or pissed. She just says, I'm red right now, and I'm wearing the red jumper. And she's telling her story from juvie, basically. And she's not only telling the story of herself and her family, but she's telling the story of her friends, the young girls that's locked up with her. And she's telling the story of her enemies as well. It's a coming of age story, but it hits so many different angles and so many different moods and so many different communities that she travels through. So I'd say that it's a coming of age story. It's a drama. It's an action story because she's very much an action figure. And it's a very emotional ride that is dark sometimes and then sometimes bright as the sun.
Were there any parts of this movie, in writing? Because we got to talk about a movie because this sounds like a movie to me. Were there any parts of this book that challenged you that you felt like, wow, that you got stuck at, that there was a roadblock here, that you just won without telling us too much?
No. I'm fortunate. I don't get writer's block and I don't get frustrated with writing. Writing really, because it's a gift, it comes very easy, very naturally to me. And once I get into the character's mind, it's like I'm just flowing. I write with my pen, not on a computer, because the tapping of the computer keys is an interruption to my imagination. But I just say I'm pushing my pen, and when I'm pushing my pen, the ink is just flowing. And I write only when I want to, or the character's talking at that moment. And so I grab my pen and I start writing. So I say it's emotional, and it is. And I say it's raw, and it is. And I say that it's rough, and it is. And at the same time, it's extremely feminine. But it wasn't difficult for me because I know that real life is like that. It's multidimensional. It's not easy. There's going to be some major challenges, and there's going to be a few friends, and there's going to be some definite enemies.
Mm-hmm. Environment. Let's talk about the environment that you're in during the writing process. Mm-hmm. Are there things that you must have? And you already said that you don't use a keypad. You don't like
right.
that. Are there other things that you must have when you're writing?
Normally, every time I start a new book, I select a new writing space. And really, it's just a feng shui thing. Like, I prefer to have a place that's really, really clean and really not cluttered. And a nice view. Not meaning it has to be the ocean or the sun. It could just be the hood or the block or whatever. But just, I'm able to see. Nice, clean, spacious place, and I'm good. But I write anywhere. I can write in a restaurant, at a wedding, or a funeral.
Oh, really?
I write anywhere. Yeah.
On a subway train?
Anywhere. I can write anywhere. I'm just telling you maybe the preferred kind of environment where I would write for several hours, maybe 8 or 9 hours, but I can write anywhere.
8 or 9 hours of writing?
Oh yeah, when
I
I was writing Midnight and the Meaning of Love, there would be many days I sat down and got up 11 hours later, other than using the ladies' room.
So how much could you write in 9 or 11 hours?
I never counted it up, but a substantial amount.
Chapters, several chapters?
Oh, yeah, several chapters. Because I don't break it down into chapters until after I write it anyway.
Incredible.
I write longhand in a notebook, in several notebooks. So for each novel that I've published, I have about, I don't know, could be anywhere from 20 to 50 notebooks filled with the pages of that novel.
Man, that's incredible. And of course you keep those books.
Oh, yeah. That's the archives.
That's the blueprint right there, right?
Well, it's the blueprint, but more importantly, the things that you write and the stories that you have and that you tell are your equity. Like, this is important business, and so these things, I have them, and if I don't have them or no longer have them, then my son would have them, It's my family's treasure chest, so to speak.
Truly, definitely. In the studio with Sister Soldier, brand new book in stores right now. I'm urging everyone to get it immediately. A Deeper Love Inside the Porsche Santiago Story. And I'm very excited about having this book in my hands because I'll be going on vacation on Sunday. And
That's it. You're going to get into it.
Yes. I'm getting
Well, get ready. Strap yourself in.
Okay. I got my seatbelts on. You know what they say before you get on the plane. You get on the plane before we take off.
That's right.
That's right. I'm ready. One thing that I would like to talk to you about in regards to, and we've already touched on it, young people in writing. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say that this generation of young people have gone away from the pen and the pad. They're not writing. But do you see any evidence that, this generation of young people are not really into the book writing? Well, what's your opinion on that? Do you see it happening or do you not see it happening?
No, I think young people are interested in writing. I see young people writing poems, writing raps, writing journals. I think there's a lot of turmoil in many of our houses, and a lot of young people write instead of exploding, so to speak. So some people are just keeping a diary, but that's writing. You have to take into account that with the social media now, people are writing every day, writing on
Twitter,
Facebook, writing on Twitter, LinkedIn, or, And then we have, of course, the whole photography crew, the Instagram, There are some young people who are only writing captions on their photos, but young people are definitely writing in one form or another.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of the Street Report Podcast. I am Easy Street. You can follow me at Easy Street on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. My official website is easystreetshow.com. Want to remind you, the Street Report Podcast is being brought to you by Sia Multimedia, specializing in producing podcasts just like this. We create social media strategies for companies, and we also produce video ads for social media for all you business owners out there. Our website is siamultimedia.com. That's CYA multimedia.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Sia Multimedia, making sure all eyes are on you. Keep that third eye open. One love, peace, and thanks for rolling with the brother.